What if a critical SQLite bug sent security teams rushing to patch code that never actually had the flaw? Welcome to the Automated Daily Hacker News Edition, the podcast created by generative AI. It's August 3rd, 2026, and I'm Trend Teller. Today, we're looking at shaky security data, the right and wrong ways to use AI at work, fresh ideas in web development and Rust, and a major privacy story involving DNA collection in U.S. immigration custody. This episode is brought to you by 11 Labs. 11 Labs lets you discover the future of AI audio with cutting-edge voice technology. Find the link in the episode notes. We'll start with one of the more unsettling security stories of the day. JFrog reviewed a batch of newly published SQLite vulnerabilities that had already been marked critical in public feeds and found that several of them simply did not hold up. The advisories pointed to functions and fixes that didn't exist in the versions they claimed to affect, and the proof of concept inputs either failed or did nothing useful. The bigger issue here is not just a few bad reports. It's that the modern vulnerability pipeline can spread plausible but unverified claims into databases, scanners, dashboards, and AI-assisted triage before anyone has really checked them. Staying in security, there was also a useful reminder about DMARC and what it can and cannot do. DMARC is often talked about like a phishing shield, but that's not really its job. It helps confirm that the domain shown in the from field authorized the message through a lined SPF, or DKIM, which is valuable for stopping direct spoofing and for giving domain owners visibility. But it does not judge intent, it doesn't catch lookalike domains, and it won't save you from a compromised real account. The practical takeaway is simple. DMARC is worth deploying, but treating it as a complete email security strategy creates blind spots. Another security-adjacent story showed how fast local AI tools are maturing. An open-source project called Nightcrawler turns an Android phone into an autonomous penetration testing agent that can discover systems, probe them, and write up findings without needing cloud access. What makes that notable is not just the novelty of running this from a phone. It's the direction of travel. As smaller models get more capable, offensive automation becomes cheaper, more portable, and harder to spot. For defenders, that's a warning that AI-enabled attack tooling is moving closer to commodity hardware. A pair of posts today tackled a different AI problem, people using models as a substitute for thinking. One author argued that forwarding raw AI responses to someone else adds almost no value, especially when the answer is bloated, shaky, or half wrong. Another made a similar point about coding assistants, saying they still help with tedious work, but handing over whole features creates cognitive debt because you end up maintaining code you never truly understood. Put those together and the message is pretty clear. AI can speed up work, but only if a human actually reads, validates, and takes responsibility for the result. In web development, two projects offered contrasting visions for building reactive apps. Jane Street's Bonsai shows how OCaml can power large internal web tools with strong typing, shared backend and front-end logic, and testable user interfaces built around predictable state changes. Meanwhile, Octane is trying to keep the feel of React while compiling away much of the runtime bookkeeping that developers have learned to live with. Different ecosystems, different philosophies, but the shared theme is important. Developers still want fast, interactive apps without piling on more complexity than the product itself deserves. On the language side, Rust took a potentially significant step toward rethinking one of its core assumptions. Project leaders accepted a longer-term goal to let some types explicitly opt out of being moved or silently forgotten. That may sound narrow, but it touches real pain points in async systems code, kernel development, and any place where object lifetimes and cleanup guarantees really matter. The broader significance is that Rust is still willing to revisit foundational design choices when the existing workaround, in this case PIN, starts looking more like a permanent burden than a clean solution. And finally, a major privacy and civil rights story. Reporting this week says ICE has massively expanded DNA collection from people in immigration custody and is feeding those profiles into the FBI's CODIS database at huge scale. The controversy is that many of these detainees are not accused of violent crimes or any crime at all beyond civil immigration violations, yet their genetic data can still become part of a much wider law enforcement system. The inclusion of families and even children has made the issue even more explosive. This is one of those stories where infrastructure built for one purpose appears to be evolving into something much broader. Thanks to our sponsor, CrispCall. CrispCall provides agentic cloud telephony for modern businesses. Find the link in the episode notes. That's the roundup for August 3rd, 2026. If one theme tied today's stories together, it's that automation is only as trustworthy as the humans and institutions around it, whether we're talking about CVE feeds, coding assistants, or biometric databases. I'm Trend Teller, and this has been the Automated Daily, Hacker News Edition. Links to all the stories can be found in the episode notes.